There is an opportunity here of bringing everything into one platform. And Brett tells us, I think we should call it a SmartPad because, that would make every completion pad really smart. We looked around the room like, wow, that's a dumb idea. But actually it was smart to do that. It really resonated. We slept on it and we said, you know what, that is actually a pretty damn good idea.
When you came up with, it's about the journey, it's not about the destination. Tell me about that.
Yeah, I thought about putting that on paper and actually talking about it because it's been a long, tedious, hard 10 years and a lot of ups and downs. But it's been a very, very interesting journey. So I'd like to tell people how we started and where the ideas came from and how we collaborated and how we worked and some of the ideas that we thought they were brilliant, maybe they weren't that brilliant, and some that they were actually thought were dumb, they actually came up to be super nice ideas. And, sometimes people want to look towards the future, and that's great, but it's good to look a little bit in the rearview mirror to see where you've been, because that will give you the idea of where you're going.
Well, one of the things that I think is also very cool, and I guess maybe it is the only way that SmartPad could exist today and that opportunity could be discovered, is getting a bunch of directional drillers to start getting into completions projects. And because that does seem to be a unique perspective that all of you guys from Inseco, brought into, the completions industry.
And that stands true because you come from an outside world, so to speak. You're still within the oil and gas business, but you come with slightly different ideas. In the directional drilling world, everything is connected. Everything connects through WITS, or nowadays with WITS ML, and the devices communicate with each other. But in the completions world, that didn't exist. And it still doesn't exist now until SmartPad came with the idea. And that was the precursor of it because, we came up with a new idea. We came from the drilling world to the completions world. We look at this many bins of information that everybody provides on site, the frac, the wire line, the pump down, the sand, the water, and they all transmit data in one form or another, but not everybody puts it onto one platform like we did. And it turned out it's a very valuable thing. So it was great to have that background knowledge and experience to something to apply it to the completions world.
Yes. So with that, how was SmartPad created? Take us into the story.
Oh, that is, I don't know if we have enough time, but that was...
Let's try. We'll see what we can do.
Well, I'll take you on a journey. We paired with a wellhead company in kind of like summer of 2016 with an idea to create a digital wellhead. So it was the idea that there is trapped pressure in the wellhead and no one can see it. But of course you can measure it. So we said, well, that would be a great idea if we can place transducers above and below the valves and then have it on a tablet or have it on a panel and then have it at the accumulator. And people, when they go and actuate the accumulator, they actually can see the pressures. Thought, wow, that's great. So let's do it. So we purchased transducers, we certified our equipment, we built this wellhead digitizer, and we went to do our first trial in November of 2016. It was Craig and Hector and myself. We went on this journey from Edmonton to Grand Prairie. We set up on this location. I think it was a 7-well pad. And it took us a couple of days to connect all these transducers, and we did, and we brought the live picture of the wellhead into a tablet. And we had a panel, of course, as well, sitting at the accumulator and showing the live data, and which was great. It looked good, and people they looked, yeah, I think we need it. It looks good at the accumulator. I think we'll utilize it. And then we said, well, what if we put a tablet in the data van for the frac boss so he can see the pressures too? So I remember distinctly, Craig and I, we walked into the data van and had this little tablet and had a little stand for it. And it was just beautifully crafted because the devil is in the detail, and we come up with something new. So we go and we place it nicely on the desk by the frac boss, and the frac boss looks at it like, what is that? And I'm like, look, you got a beautiful display here showing you the pressure, the trap pressure. If when you need to switch wells, when you need to switch the frac between the wells, then it gives you an idea of what the pressure is on each wellhead. And I was, nah, I don't need that. I'm okay. I measure pressure. Our system measures pressures. We don't need that stuff. So I said, okay, well, we'll leave it here. In the meantime, of course, we carry on with the business, and we watch for other opportunities too. We try to understand what problems do exist on the completions world, in the completion site there, and is there anything that we can fix? Not that we're the smartest people in the world, but collectively we were, but individually maybe not so much. But we look and we see a thing that actually spurred our interest a great deal. So as both Craig and I were observing how the wellhead technician operates the valves, and they were hydraulic valves, and he was operating them remotely. And he had on the accumulator, he had a green light, red light. So the valve is fully open, fully closed. And then when he operates the valve remotely, he sends a trainee, an 18-year-old kid, into the hot zone to go and count the 23.5 turns and come back and communicate to me. I was like, isn't that dangerous?
So this guy's remote, he's doing it, but he sends somebody in to observe.
That's correct. The reason is I don't trust that green light, red light. Like, wow. Like this is against what automation and technology is about. So, we're just trying to remove people from the dangerous area, but yet you're doing it because you don't trust your equipment. So we looked at each other and said, look, there's got to be a different way. But can we not build a valve position sensor? And maybe we didn't have the right name at that time, but can we build something that we can attach to the wellhead, to that valve, to tell us 100% of the time where that valve is positioned, and in very small increments? How about 1% increments? And it works all the time, and it's always accurate, and it's reliable. So that is doable.
Yeah, it doesn't have to be open or closed. It's 97% closed, which means it's not closed. Or if it's 100%, it's 100% closed. So you do tell a little story about the frac boss who is ignoring the tablet in the data van on the job. And so what happens?
And then we hear on the radio, I think it's the second day second day. I don't think it was the third day, but the second day into the job, we hear on the radio, call board, do you have a copy? Like, whoa, somebody's calling on us? Of course, yes, yeah, we have a copy. What's going on? Well, come here to the data van, we got a problem. Well, wow, let's go see what it is. And we go in there, and the tablet is out of power. Yeah. And the frac boss is, look, I really need that stuff, and it's gone out of power. I don't know what happened, but I really need it. So we looked at each other like, cool, he is using it. So we plugged it in, positioned it nicely, make sure it's working. It's showing the display is showing the trapped pressures or the pressures into all the wellheads. We gave a little nod, like, got it going. We went down to our trailer and we high-fived, like, we have something here. Because 24 or 36 hours ago, this same individual was really gruff with us. Like, I don't need that stuff. And now he clearly is using it. So there is something here. There's a lot of value in what we're doing. So that gave us a lot of encouragement to build this tool and develop it.
So you come back from the job and you guys start doing a debrief.
So we debriefed up to every job. We were up in Leduc, Craig and Hector and myself, and Brett and Blair, they were in Calgary. They came after every job that we did, every trial. We sit down and we extensively go through what happened, what did you notice, what did you guys learn, is there any additional opportunities? There's always, is there anything else that we can be doing on a site? So, of course, we go extensively. We talk about this job. This was like maybe 3-week-long job. We have tons of notes and tons of information, and everybody listens, asks questions, and everybody's excited about this, what happened in the data van with a tablet, with the pressure, displaying the pressures. Everybody's excited about the potential of us building a valve position sensor that could be attached. And we talk about, we need to connect everything that is on a completion site.
That's the directional drilling background kind of saying we need to solve that problem.
That's correct. We need to solve that problem. And there is an opportunity here of bringing everything into one platform. And Brett tells us, I think we should call it a SmartPad because, that would make every completion pad really smart. We looked around the room like, wow, that's a dumb idea. But actually it was smart to do that. It really resonated. We slept on it and we said, you know what, that is actually a pretty damn good idea. Let's call it SmartPad and let's go on with it. Let's move with it.
So how long did it take? So take me into building so you were basically going to build the valve sensors, or you were going to make kind of the wellhead smart. So how did you approach creating that, and how long did it take?
I don't think it took us very long because we were working with a wellhead provider who gave us the opportunity to trial some of this equipment. So we had a couple of engineers in Vancouver, and we looked, how can this be done? Look, we need a mechanism that is Class 1, Division 1, that could be attached to a wellhead. There is grease, there is fluids, there is dust, there is hot and cold. It needs to work. Somehow it needs to be clamped and it needs to work. So we came up with some designs and we tweaked it and this is not good. And tweaked it again and tweaked it again. We built a bunch of prototypes. We water jet parts and we built housings, and it was nice because when you build things there and you see the iterations and you're like wow, we're making progress, and we were actually we were making progress. We go to this wellhead company, we trial the equipment, they look at us like, wow, that looks good. We get encouragement from them. And then another wellhead provider wants to see what we're doing, also based in Edmonton, and we trial with them as well. And it was very encouraging to see that there is a need for it. So in the space of a few months, we built a valve position sensor, at least the iteration 3rd or 4th or 5th, not the one is today. The one is today it's a beautiful thing of art, and it works 100% of the time, and it's 100% accurate all the time. But it took us a few months. We built it, we connected it, and then we expanded it. Okay, how many are we going to have for a frac tree? How many can we attach? So as many as we can. We looked at everything that could be connected. We're going to go and connect it.
Yep. So you run operations here at Colbor, and it seemed like the opportunity to develop SmartPad actually came from being out on job sites and actually running jobs, operating, and bringing those learnings and that information back to be able to capitalize on solving problems. Can you speak a little bit to your operations team and the people who are out on site, and how do they interface, because they are the boots on ground, when it comes to SmartPad. So how important is the operations team and as it relates to the ongoing innovation at Colbor?
I always define it as the operations being the heartbeat of the company. And it is vital that we have good, qualified technicians in the field. So when you think about the structure, the way we structure it, so we got an operations manager in the north and in the south. We got coordinators. We got field superintendents. We got a training superintendent, and then we got field technicians. And we have various levels of field technicians. And some Some have been with us for a lot of years. I'm quite proud of the fact that we have a very low turnover, just because we do treat people well, because they work with amazing technology, and they like what we do. We involve them very much. They see the value that they bring to the customers in the sites. They are the tip of the spear. They represent this whole structure of Cold Bore, from the CEO to down to everyone in the product team, in the hardware team, and the software team. They are the essence of the Cold Bore in the field. They are in front of the customer every day. They take pride in what they do, because first of all, they bring something unique to the market. They see the satisfaction in customers' eyes. Customers like what we do. They like the product. They see the value. They like to have, most of them, they like to have field technicians on site, because our people help them. Our people train them, help them understand how to use this valuable tool, and how does it bring value in the overall scheme.